Hello everyone, this is Captain Joel, and welcome to my latest Marvel Puzzle Quest video. In this video, we are going to be looking at the latest 4-star added to the game, Rocket and Groot Awesome Mix Volume 2, as a part of their promotion for the recently released Guardians of the Galaxy 2 movie. They, after adding Star-Lord, they have now added the new Rocket and Groot to the game, and these are actually some really great characters. So let's get right down to it. First off, I like the artwork. It's kind of got a goofy, silly look. I'm not sure why they're standing on all those weapons crates. I guess they are too short to be the same height as the other characters otherwise. So, and that gun looks pretty big for Rocket, so it's pretty funny. And we got Baby Groot there. Looks kind of cute. And this is from their comic book that came out last year. Wanted for over 50 charges of vehicular theft and escaping from custody, Rocket and Groot bounty hunted their way all over the known universe until fate led them to be heroes. Groot gave his life to save his best friend. But don't worry, he grew back. Now they're saving the galaxy for fun and profit all over again. So, something to note that these are listed as Guardians of the Galaxy. So the affiliations, they really didn't do much with them in the past, but besides the fact that one of his skills is impacted by this, the developers have said that they were looking into adding more team-based skills to the game, or something similar to that, so we'll see what happens, but affiliations do actually matter with this character, as we will see when we look at the skills. So he's got just under 14,000 health at level 270, so he's pretty much around the mid-tier for health for 4 stars. And he is a blue, yellow, green character. So he is a very good character, both from starting the match and over time. It's a rare combination to have. And he works well with quite a few different types of characters. So let's get down to his skills. His blue skill is called Rocket's Pack. So it costs 12 blue AP. And Rocket zips around the battlefield with his new aero rig, blasting any poor schmo that gets in his way. If there's not one already, creates a blue countdown that activates every turn, dealing at 3 covers 578 damage and creating a strength 180 black tile. At 4 covers 704 damage and strength 280 black attack tile. And finally at 5 covers 1662 damage and creating a strength 360 black attack tile. Now, on its own, this skill would seem a bit lackluster, because first off, 12 AP is expensive, and it's only giving you a countdown tile to deal damage. So that's one negative. You need a lot of AP, and there's no immediate payoff. However, as we're going to look with the later skills, because of the fact that he's creating an attack tile and having the countdown tile that deals damage every turn, there's multiple opportunities for extra damage when you have strike tiles on the board. So it really stacks up. And I'm going to actually come back to his damage numbers again after I finish going over his yellow skill, because you'll need to understand that skill to understand how powerful the blue is. Okay, his yellow skill is a passive, and it activates at the start of the match. Welcome to the frickin' Guardians of the Galaxy. At the start of the battle, at 3 covers, create 4 strength 126 strike tiles. That is 504 in strike tiles for free at the start of the match. Not that much, but it's a decent extra boost if you're a somewhat lower level player. If there is another member of the Guardians of the Galaxy on their team, create strength 207 tiles instead. That is 828 in strike tiles. A little bit bigger of a boost there, It's still not an insane amount, and since it's at the beginning of the match and you can never use it again, it does make the yellow useless for the rest of the turn. So you might want to bring another yellow user on the team that has an active yellow. But it's okay at 3 covers, but really not that impressive, and after the strike tiles are matched away, it's a useless skill. When you bring it up to 4 covers, he now creates 5 strike tiles, and the strength goes up from 126 to 131. So not that much more additional damage. You're getting an extra strike tile, so that's adding 131 damage right there. And they're getting an extra 5 damage on each tile. So that's another 20 damage and strike tiles out, so it's 151 extra damage over 3 covers. So it's not that much more. And the secondary condition that it will create strength 239 tiles instead, that's somewhat more of a boost as well, and because you have the additional tile. So it's going to actually do 1,195 damage, or strike tiles, rather, being created. So it's starting to get pretty potent at 4 covers. Still not an insane amount of strike tiles out, but considering the fact that it's free at the start of the turn, it is pretty helpful to have this skill at 4 covers at least, because it does start to make the strikes worth something more. And then finally, when you get to 5 covers, you're bumping up from 5 to 7 strike tiles at the beginning of the turn. The power level amount doesn't go up that much. It's only from 131 to 132. But because there's 2 additional strike tiles being created, that right there is over 260 extra in strikes out to start. And combined with if you have another Guardians of the Galaxy team member, you're going up again around from 239 to 276. So adding up all the different tiles, you're either going to have 930 something in strike tiles, which is pretty good, or 1,932 in strike tiles if you have another Guardians of the Galaxy teammate. That's almost 2,000 in strike tiles on the board. That's huge. That's an insane amount of match damage you can start out with. You could take down Peggy in just a few turns from being able to have her yellow passive be usable. So this is really an incredible counter if you have the right teammates against Peggy and other certain passive characters. Interestingly enough, this type of skill also works well with MEDUSA, because you'll have strike tiles out to keep your health up in the beginning of the match. But it also works poorly against MEDUSA because she also gets the benefits of having enemy strike tiles being matched away. But overall, this yellow skill, even though it's only going to be used once at the beginning of the match, is still a really great way to start the match. And if you're able to keep them alive as long as possible and get some of his other skills active right away, these strike tiles are really going to help your game by having extra damage on his blue and, as we'll see, his green as well. So now that we know what this yellow is doing, let's take a look back at his blue and see how much damage per turn is going to be coming out of his blue. So I want to do 2 calculations. One, we're going to see if you don't have a Guardians of the Galaxy member on your team, and one, we are going to see if you have a Guardians of the Galaxy member on your team. And just for simplification, we're going to assume that all the strike tiles will survive the full amount of time that I'm going to be referring to. Even though realistically, you're probably going to see a couple of them get matched away. And we're also going to assume that Rocket's blue is lasting for 4 turns, even though it's also entirely possible that it will get matched sooner, as well as having the attack tiles he creates get matched sooner. Okay, so this blue attack move has damage that it deals at the beginning of the turn, with that 1662 at 5 covers, and then it's creating the black attack tiles. So, assuming that we don't have a Guardians member on the team, we have 924 in strike tiles, meaning that each turn this goes off, that's strengthened by 974. Okay, so that is 2,636 damage every turn this countdown tile goes off. Okay, so remember that. That is 10,544 damage over 4 turns, if it is able to last that long. Remember that it doesn't activate the first turn, so it would really mean the turn you activate it and then 4 more turns. Again, remember this is unlikely to actually have all the strike tiles survive that long, and there's a decent chance that the countdown tile will be matched away. But if you do use Rocket with characters that fortify tiles, then you still might be okay. So, remembering that first number, now let's take a look at the attack tiles. So you're going to be creating 360 black attack tiles. And again, I'm making an assumption here, but let's just assume that they do not get matched away. So that you will have 1 attack tile the first turn, 2 the second, 3 the third, and 4 attack tiles by the end of the 4th turn. Okay, so that means that the first turn you're going to be doing that 360 damage, plus that additional damage from the strike tiles. So what would that be? 1,284 damage the first turn, 1,644 the second turn, 2,004 the third turn, and 2,364 the 4th turn. So adding all of those up, that would be 7,296 damage over those 4 turns from the attack tiles. I know that might sound crazy, but that's how the math works. That means that if you count both the beginning of the turn, countdown tile going off damage, plus the attack tiles, the total damage would be around 17,640 damage for 12 AP. The damage per AP ratio, 1,470. Now again, it's not likely to actually get off that much damage because of the fact that, as I mentioned before, the strike tiles could be matched away, especially by the time you've earned 12 blue AP. The countdown tile could get matched, the attack tiles could get matched, so there's a lot of things that could go wrong with this calculation. But you could also have the opposite, where you could end up getting this blue tile, the blue AP quickly, the strike tiles could survive, and the countdown tile could last longer than 4 turns, especially if you're using characters that fortify tiles. So it's really tricky to figure out the full damage potential of this skill. But now I'm going to just quickly tell you, without going through the whole motions again, if you were to have a Guardians of the Galaxy member on your team and get the 276 per tile instead of the 132. That would be 25,704 damage under that situation. 25,000 damage. The cost per AP, 2,142. That is an insane amount of damage potential. So, in theory, this character is one of the highest damaging over time characters out there right now. Like, you don't even have to worry about constantly feeding him. Once you get that 5 blue, the 12 blue, you're good to go. So, he really does have some insane potential, and bringing another Guardians of the Galaxy team member does make a huge difference in the damage. So normally I would say it's not worth it to make a team composition like that, where you might bring a character that's a bit worse maybe, but when you're looking at the huge increase in damage potential, I really do think it's worth considering bringing somebody who might not be as good of a teammate just to have that extra damage output. Now let's take a look at his green skill. It's called Don't Push This Button, and it costs 10 green AP. What? No! That's a button that'll kill everyone! Creates a 3-turn atomic bomb countdown tile that deals at 3 covers 2,952 damage to the enemy team. At 4 covers, 4,495 damage to the enemy team. And at 5 covers, 6,514 damage to the enemy team. If it's matched away, it deals 2,304 damage to the enemy team and 866 damage to your team. At 4 covers, it deals 3,392 damage to the enemy team and 1,317 damage to your team. And at 5 covers, it deals 5,503 damage to the enemy team and 1,804 damage to your team. So the damage amount is quite high at 10, and although you might be tempted to say it's a countdown tile, and therefore it's not worth that because it might get matched away and won't do any damage, that's not true. This is one of the few countdown tile damaging moves where if it gets matched away, it's still okay. Sure, you'll take some damage, but 10 AP for 5,500 damage is not that bad, even though you have some team damage as well. That's about the same as a little bit higher damage than Jean Grey's purple and green skills at base level, even though they have some other effects, but Rocket and Groot also has another effect. So the damage here is pretty good. Whether or not it's worth having at 3, 4, or 5 covers is another question that we'll come back to later, but the damage amount is pretty good. And that's not even the cream on the cake for this skill, because this skill becomes I am Groot after you've cast it. At the start of each turn, Groot makes a match for you. This clears lines and creates critical tiles as normal, but no extra turns. You don't need to worry about that part really, because it just means that Groot can't go twice in a row. Now, unlike with Banner, when Banner goes crazy and makes extra matches, Groot actually gets AP for you, which I think is ridiculous that a 4-star has a better passive skill than a 5-star of the same exact type. But whatever, I'm sure they'll fix Banner eventually. So this is an extra 3 minimum AP every turn. So that's an incredible skill, even though it lasts just 3 turns. When the atomic bomb countdown tile is matched or goes off, this power becomes Don't Push This Button again. So it doesn't matter how many covers you have, this still has the exact same impact. So you're still probably going to be wanting to use this skill even if Green was not at 5 covers, because it's just an insane character kit. I really want everything at 5, but I can't do that. But still, remember, if you've got these strike tiles out, you're starting off at almost 2,000 in strike tiles with another Guardians of the Galaxy team member. Use this skill, you're going to be doing that 2,000 extra damage a turn with Groot making the match, plus your own match damage, that's 4,000 damage a turn. Plus you're going to be having the damage from the attack tiles and the countdown tile. So it's like all around just a crazy combination of damage being pumped out every turn. And it's so much more difficult to stop him with passives than some of the other characters. MEDUSA can destroy him a lot more, but the other characters, like Peggy, are just going to be completely overwhelmed by Groot's extra damage with his strike tiles, with his countdown tiles. All you need to do, if the strike tiles aren't enough to take down Peggy's health, all you need to do is get 10 or 12 AP of green or blue, and you're good to go. And factor in that you might be using him with Star-Lord, you can probably only get 8 green AP or 10 blue AP to get these off. So this is just a crazy good character. You could be dealing thousands of damage every turn between the attack tiles, the countdown tile, the Groot matches, the strike tiles. I just cannot emphasize just how strong this character is in potential. In actuality, so that's where we come to the kind of decision-making part of the build. So you're going to get that huge amount of extra damage in strike tiles if you have his yellow at 5. But that's going to make his green or his blue significantly weaker. His blue is going to be almost half damage every turn. Well, actually a bit more than half damage if he's at 4 covers, which becomes much less worth using, and even less, although not quite as much, at 3 covers. And his green is also at 5 covers. At 3 covers, it's really not worth using, except for the extra turn of match damage. The difference between 4 and 5 is not as huge. Interestingly enough, he does less team damage. It's a bit hard decision to make, but I think you might be able to get away with going with 4 in yellow and 4 in green, but I think you're really pretty much better off picking based on your teammates who you're going to be using for this. I think that it's a tough decision, really. I think you're going to have to look at which event you're playing, if it's PvE, who the boosted characters are, PvP, who the feature character and who the boosted characters are. I think you're going to have to really pick carefully the situation because it could go either way. I think that if you're playing against in PvP, the yellow is great on offense, but I think on defense your opponent is able to plan around it more and intentionally match away those strike tiles. So you might want it to be that while you're climbing the leaderboard, you'll have yellow at 5, and then switch over to having yellow at 3 and green at 5 when you're near the top. And you can also stop using the Guardians of the Galaxy teammate and kind of focus on the blue and green skills for Rocket and bring other characters to deal the other damage. But overall, this is just an incredible skill set. So who would make good teammates? Well, there's different situations, but if you want to be able to quickly get that green off, then Iron Fist can be used. You can have set Rocket and Groot at 3 in blue and 5 in yellow and green, and then you just need to get 6 blue from Iron Fist. Then you will immediately get that extra green AP. So you'll be able to use Rocket and Groot's green very quickly. And you'll still have a very powerful black skill. And you wouldn't use Iron Fist's green. And you would also want to use a Guardians of the Galaxy member with this team to get the maximum benefit of the Guardians strike tile damage. So you would probably want to bring Star-Lord, who could actually make Iron Fist blue only 4 AP with his yellow, and it'll just be converting pretty much 4 AP into 4 blue AP into 4 green AP, and in addition the green AP will only be 8. So you can just get a little bit of blue and right away launch the green for Rocket and Groot much quicker before the strike tiles get matched away. So that's definitely one option. So I think that in general having Star-Lord is also just good because you'll have, it's a bit annoying though because you'll have 2 yellow passives, but I think that that is a potentially good team. And the other Guardians of the Galaxy team member would be Drax, and he's just had a rework, which maybe we can talk about in another video, but he does have completely different colors from Rocket and Groot, so that would be a potentially good thing. And he also puts out strike tiles of his own for each friendly countdown tile. And he also has his new passive. Whenever a friendly countdown tile expires, he's dealing damage. So Drax could potentially be a decent teammate as well, although I don't think he's quite high enough damage really, nor quite enough utility, but he does have board shake. Um, I guess we'll have to see if the board shake ends up destroying your friendly tiles and not just enemy special tiles. So those are the current 4-star Guardians of the Galaxy teammates. We are also going to be getting a 4-star Gamora soon, so it's entirely possible her skill set will work as well. Now, if you want to look at the new Star-Lord, so he does have a yellow that you can actually use. That's the 10 yellow, so you won't have to worry about the passive yellow that's never used after the beginning of the match for Groot. He does have a purple, but the purple's really bad. And then you have to choose if you'd rather use Rocket and Groot or Star-Lord's green. So that's also kind of annoying. But I guess you could have Rocket and Groot at 5 blue and 5 yellow, and then use Star-Lord's green. But I don't know, I always feel like if you're using a 5-star, you're not likely to ever use a 4-star unless you got really unlucky in how your covers fell when you were pulling 5 stars. So I think that just looking at the Guardians of the Galaxy affiliations, those are the most obvious team-ups. Looking at non-Guardians of the Galaxy team-ups, I think that you've got quite a few other potential teammates that could work well. One of them would be Professor X. Professor X can really buff those tiles quickly if you get him invisible early on. And another character that would go well with this matchup is you can try to get the extra AP from Agent Coulson and Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers. With Carol, you'll have an active black, an active yellow, an active blue, and an active green. So you just have purple and red that are not active. So that really gives you a lot of options, depending on who the other third teammate would be. That could potentially end up being Drax if you did want to get that Guardians of the Galaxy benefit. You could also try to bring Star-Lord and Wasp and have Wasp black set at 5 and yellow set at 5. And then when you have Wasp's yellow at 5 and you have Star-Lord's yellow passive out, this skill will only cost 3 AP to use, so you just need to save up 6 AP and have Star-Lord's yellow out, and you could essentially flip all of those attack tiles, all of the strike tiles to be an extra 600 and 38 damage more. Each tile. Adding up all of them, that would be 4,400 something damage combined, and on top of whatever they already were doing. So you're going to be doing around 6,000 damage a turn if you can quickly get this skill out twice. So that's pretty helpful. And you could also potentially use this skill with Iron Fist. If you wanted to get it a little bit quicker, you could have use her yellow once, then use Iron Fist black to swap all of the protect tiles to strike tiles again. So there's quite a few options here with that team up as well. Additionally, you can try to use other characters that take advantage of the massive amount of strike tiles out. So another one of those would be MEDUSA, because MEDUSA is going to be healing up and every time those are matched, so you can keep your health up in the beginning of the match until your skills really take off to dish out damage. And then you also have Punisher. So if you wanted to go with 5 in blue for Rocket and Groot, and 5 in yellow, and then you could have Punisher be 5 in black and 5 in green, then you'll have the strike tiles at 16% additional strength, which will be around 300 or so extra strength. So not a huge amount, but it's helpful. And then you'll have these, the black will be dealing insane damage whenever you activate it. So that's definitely a crazy team up as well. And finally, the other teammate in the 4-star world would be to use Luke Cage, because Luke Cage can fortify friendly special tiles. So, especially if you have Star-Lord out, you can have Star-Lord's yellow tile on the board, and then for 6 AP, you can fortify all these special tiles, and you'll have a cheaper red as well. So you can keep those strike tiles alive and those attack tiles alive. It's just a really, there's so many possibilities. It's really, this character, this is real power creep. I don't think they've ever had a character like this. It works with so many different team compositions, and I think he's not the best character around, just because he still does take a while to get fully powered up, and AI probably will not use him correctly, but he's definitely top tier. He's competing with even Carol and some of the other special PvE specialist characters out there. So I think he's definitely worth trying to get to your roster as soon as possible. He will make the game played very differently and add a lot of fun combinations to your team. And I really, let me know if you guys think I am missing on any other possible good team combinations, but I think there's a lot just because he's so great. Oh, and if you did again have that crazy weird 5-star luck and had a Hawkeye fully covered, you're going to be getting all of these special tiles being fortified very quickly by Hawkeye, at least the countdown section. And if you have Green Goblin already covered, his passive will also be fortifying your special tiles. So there's really just a huge number of possibilities with this character. I really think they did a great job designing him. I just hope they do not nerf him because of all the potential. So stay tuned for my next video. I'm going to be playing a whole bunch of matches with him, and you can really see a few different team combinations with him. I might even end up having to split it into 2 videos because there's so many potential team combinations to try him out with. So let me know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe and like below. Thanks for watching. Captain Joel out.